I think it's always a busy weekend there in Ottawa. It just you guys seem to be just the protest capital of this country. We wanted to have you on because we want to talk to you about the assault that happened against you this past weekend and the police in action. Ottawa police being Ottawa police, the convoy police we know and remember. Why don't you tell us exactly what happened to you?
Yeah, so maybe we'll start at the beginning. Every week in Ottawa since October 7th, basically, we have had a very large Palestinian protest that marches through downtown. Normally starts by the courthouse, goes by the Prime Minister's office, then down into the market and circles around. So this weekend was like any other weekend. I went to cover that protest, and I mean, it started out actually a little iffy. As soon as I walked up, I was accosted by a member of that protest. It was actually quite interesting because I was approached aggressively by a gentleman there, and the police basically came in at that point and told me to cut it out. So it started out really kind of on the wrong foot. So that calmed down, and we went on our usual march. I was just filming like I always do, and we ended up down in front of Rideau Center, and that's where I was assaulted. So the marches generally stop in front of Rideau Center at the Indigo, a Jewish-owned business, I believe. So they regularly stop there. That's what's playing right now. So we stopped in there, and there was a gentleman that was dressed up in what I would describe as a Hamas terrorist. So I was staying close to him.
Mhm.
He was all in black, and I noticed him with a smoke canister. So I got ready to get some camera on him because I knew he was going to set off the smoke. He was holding it for about 5 minutes, and very shortly before that happened is when a gentleman that was at the front of the march, completely masked, carrying a big flag. He was walking at the front of the march the whole time. He walked about 30 feet straight for me, and he bumped into me, and he came down like with a big overhand smack, basically kind of over top of my head and right down on my phone. Phone went flying. This happened, as you can see in that picture right there, directly in front of two police liaisons and close
Oh
to a
my God.
dozen other police officers who actually did absolutely nothing. The gentleman that was with me grabbed the guy that assaulted me, passed him to police, and police let him go immediately, and then proceeded to basically victim blame me. They even threatened me with obstruction charges at one point for asking for help.
Holy Hannah. Chris, how many if you had to guess how many people were in that march, how hard were you outnumbered there?
I would say, I mean, 200 to 300 maybe. It's hard to judge, but it was a lot. It was over 200, I would say. There was probably a good 50, 60 police officers total around this march in different areas, multiple cruisers. Wasn't the biggest one of these I've seen, but it was a large one. It blocked, two lanes of traffic about a block long as it moved through.
So and
Now,
they have full police escort while they are doing this on the streets of Ottawa, and they do nothing to help
Yes,
you, nothing to assist you, Chris.
correct. And this is not something new. So for people who have followed me for some time, I have probably close to a dozen examples, some worse than others, but I have multiple examples of me being assaulted or me filming assaults and reporting them to Ottawa police, where Ottawa police not only ignore the assaults, they refuse to help me. I've even had an entire unit of bicycle police bike away from me when I was asking for help. So it's not a one-off thing. To me, it seems the way they approach certain protests. I believe there's definitely a bias there
mhm.
towards certain causes when it comes, and I think it's top down. There's orders ahead of time. I'm really beginning to believe that also there's a personal bias against me in Ottawa police. It's becoming more and more apparent each one of these incidents that I have.
So what happened next? I was just poking around on X before we started the stream, and it sounds like there's been an official complaint made against the officers.
Yes. So far, at the time, I asked multiple officers, sergeants, everyone around. I asked at least 10 officers to help me in the moment. I told each and every one of them on camera, "I've been assaulted. Can you please help me?" None of them would even answer me. They didn't say a word. At the time, they said, maybe it's too dangerous. They use a lot of excuses. It's not safe to intercept these people. Um, but what they did tell me afterwards, a female sergeant who chased me around the sidewalk and grabbed me and pushed me, trying to help me, she said she would take my name and phone number and would get back to me. She never did. Nobody got back to me, in fact. So the next day, we contacted Ottawa Police, me and my attorney, and we filed the assault report personally. The next day and yesterday, an investigator did contact me. Through that conversation, I was able to find out that they at no point made contact with the guy, the masked individual who assaulted me, so they weren't able to identify him. So, I mean, I've given him the picture with the mask. Ottawa police have multiple angles also of this, but he has not been identified as of yet because they refused to do it while he was there.
What?
And for me personally, like, this is a really, really big problem for me. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but in May, this past May, I was covering a protest in Confederation Park in Ottawa, and I was jumped by 4 people in black bloc, beaten pretty badly over the head, and I had my cell phone stolen.
Was this a rainbow protest, Chris?
It was, yes.
Yeah,
it was hosted by Dave Johnstone, I believe, and I believe it was Joel Harden of the NDP were there. QP and PSAC were there. The union bosses were there. So I got beaten in front of all these people and had my phone stolen. It took police about 40 minutes to respond to that call. I was sitting in an ambulance when they got there, and they never made contact with the crowd. They never tried to identify any of the individuals, and that's still an open case with unidentified suspects.
And what we're learning here is if they are masked, if they have their identities hidden, the only time that they can be identified is in the moment. And if the police refuse to do that, well, then you're screwed, Chris. Like, this is just insane. And I think this serves as a warning. Loyal Rebel News followers will know what's happened in the UK with 2-tier policing. And we are seeing this unravel on the streets of Ottawa via Chris. And Chris, you're a national hero for going out and covering these protests for us, because if it weren't for you, the Canadian public would not know that this is happening. But we're seeing a dangerous precedent being set here by Ottawa police, like, without question. If they don't identify those people that have their identities obscured by costumes in that moment, they are going to get away. And there is no excuse for them to let them get away. So there is 0%. You've been assaulted. That's against the law. They should be having that guy in handcuffs. And maybe if they taught that guy a lesson in the moment, maybe those 300 other people wouldn't be so belligerent next time, huh, Chris? Do you agree?
Yeah, and I mean that's what I've, like you say, there's literally no one covering this stuff. There's a whole bunch of these incidents that if I wasn't down there filming them, they wouldn't have been out, really. I was there when a group of Palestinians took over a building, a parliamentary building. Not long ago, I was there when a group of Palestinian protesters shut down the area in front of the Prime Minister's office. They actually intercepted 2 RCMP vehicles that tried to get through, jumped on the hoods, and chased the RCMP out of the area with the Prime Minister, Trudeau, in the office. So, I mean, it's absolutely shocking what goes on. No arrests were made at that time, or either, I don't believe. So, I mean, there's all kinds of issues going on here. And I'm just happy that some of the stuff is getting out to a wider audience, because people need to know what's happening. This is Ottawa, right? So we have politicians going on, in the House of Commons and on TV and whatever, talking about all these things, but they're completely ignoring what's going on in the streets of Ottawa.
Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message, because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com.